Flight 717 was the kind of flight no one would remember. Asterisk, a routine transatlantic journey. Clear skies. Calm passengers. Asterisk, 250 lives sealed inside a metal tube. Trusting rules they never questioned. Asterisk, the cabin lights dimmed softly as the aircraft climbed higher. The seatbelt sign dinged on sharp, final, unquestionable. One by one, passengers adjusted their belts. Surrendering control to the system they believed in, everyone followed the rules, everyone except the woman in seat 14A. Her name was Emily Carter. At first, no one noticed her. She looked ordinary, mid-30s, brown hair tied back, wearing a plain gray hoodie and jeans. No jewelry, no makeup. The kind of face that disappears in a crowd. But her eyes were wide, locked on the small oval window beside her seat. Her fingers dug into the armrest. Outside. The wings sliced through the clouds. White, clean, perfect, too perfect. Emily leaned closer to the glass. Her breath fogged the window as her heart began to pound, not fast, but heavy. Each beat felt louder than the last. Asterisk, no. No, no? Asterisk, her mind raced backward, replaying every detail from boarding. The angle of the wing. The sound during taxi. The flicker so small no one else could have seen it, but she had. The plane jolted slightly. Nothing serious. Just air pockets. Asterisk, passengers laughed nervously. Someone joked. A baby cried. Emily unbuckled her seatbelt. The click was quiet, but not quiet enough. Asterisk, the man beside her glanced over. Seatbelt signs on, he muttered, already looking away. Emily stood up. For half a second. The cabin froze. Asterisk, a flight attendant turned sharply from the aisle, her professional smile vanishing. "Ma'am," she said firmly, walking toward Emily. "You need to sit down immediately." Emily didn't look at her. She was staring at the wing. Asterisk, her hands trembled now. Uncontrollably. Asterisk, "Ma'am," the attendant repeated, louder this time. "This is against airline rules. Please return to your seat." Asterisk, Emily swallowed hard. Her mouth felt dry, like sandpaper. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. The plane hit another small bump. Someone groaned. Someone sighed. Asterisk, the rules had always worked before. Asterisk, the rules had always kept people safe. But rules don't see everything. Emily finally turned toward the attendant. Her eyes were glassy, filled with something that wasn't fear alone, it was certainty. Asterisk. "If I sit down," Emily said quietly, her voice cracking, "this plane will not land." Asterisk. The attendant stiffened. "Excuse me?" Asterisk, Emily's chest rose and fell rapidly. She lowered her voice, almost begging. Asterisk. "Please," she whispered, "you have to listen to me." Asterisk, a few nearby passengers looked up now. Murmurs rippled through the cabin. Asterisk, the attendant straightened, training taking over. "Ma'am, you are causing a disturbance. Sit down now, or I will call security." Emily shook her head. "No," she said. "If you do that, you'll waste time." The word time hung in the air. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stay standing. Every instinct screamed at her to sit, to blend back into the safety of obedience, but she couldn't. Asterisk. Because she knew something they did single quotes to dot asterisk, her eyes flicked again to the wing. To a place no passenger ever watches for more than a second. Asterisk, she took a sharp breath. Asterisk. "There's a problem with this aircraft," Emily said. Louder now. Clearer. "A problem that hasn't shown up in your cockpit yet." Asterisk. The attendant's face hardened. "Ma'am, that's enough." Emily stepped into the aisle. Gasps echoed. Asterisk. The attendant raised her hand. "Security to aisle 14." Emily's pulse thundered in her ears. She knew what they would think. Unstable, panicked, dangerous. She had seen this before on investigation reports, on black box transcripts, on memorial pages with smiling faces and dates that ended mid-er, asterisk. She clenched her fist. Asterisk. I am not trying to scare anyone, she said, her voice shaking but strong. I am trying to save them. Asterisk. A man behind her scoffed. Sit down, lady. Asterisk. Emily turned slightly, her eyes sweeping the cabin rows of strangers, families, students, grandparents, children, 250 lives. She swallowed. Asterisk. If I sit down, she said again, louder this time, 250 people will die. Silence slammed into the cabin like a wall. Even the baby stopped crying. Asterisk. The attendant stared at her, stunned. Emily closed her eyes for a brief moment. She had broken the first rule, asterisk, and there was no going back. The silence after Emily's words felt heavier than the aircraft itself. 250 people will die. For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. The hum of the engines suddenly sounded louder, darker, like something alive. Then reality rushed back in. That's enough. The flight attendant snapped, stepping closer. Her hand hovered near her radio, fingers tense. Ma'am, you are frightening passengers. Sit down now. Asterisk. Emily didn't resist. Not yet. Instead, she reached slowly into her jacket pocket. Gasps rippled through the cabin. Asterisk. Don't. Someone shouted. The attendant froze. Emily pulled out a folded boarding pass and an old, worn ID card. She held them up with shaking hands. Asterisk. My name is Emily Carter, she said. I used to work for the Federal Aviation Safety Division. Asterisk. The attendant frowned. That doesn't give you permission to asterisk. I helped investigate 3 mid-air engine failures. Emily interrupted, her voice suddenly steadier. All 3 were ruled unavoidable. All 3 killed everyone on board. A murmur spread. The attendant hesitated, but only for a second. Ma'am, credentials or not, you are violating federal flight rules. Security is on the way. Asterisk. Emily nodded. I know. She turned her head toward the window again. The wing was still there. Still smooth. Still pretending nothing was wrong. Asterisk. But Emily's eyes locked onto a detail no one else would notice, a faint vibration near the fuel sensor housing. Barely visible. Barely measurable. But lethal. When we boarded, Emily said loudly, making sure the rows around her could hear, I heard a sound during pre-check. A whistle where there shouldn't be one. Passengers exchanged uneasy looks. The sensor on the left wing, she continued, is feeding delayed data. Not wrong data, delayed. Asterisk. The attendant scoffed nervously. You can't possibly know that. Asterisk. Emily looked at her. You're right. You won't know. Until it's too late. Asterisk. The plane jolted again. Stronger this time. A few people screamed. Overhead compartments rattled. Asterisk. The captain's calm voice came through the speaker. Asterisk. Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing mild turbulence. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. Emily closed her eyes. Mild, she thought. For now, asterisk. Security appeared at the end of the aisle, 2 uniformed air marshals pushing past confused passengers. Asterisk. There she is, the attendant said sharply. She's refusing to comply. Asterisk. One of the marshals approached Emily carefully. Ma'am, you need to come with us. Asterisk. Emily didn't fight. She turned fully toward him. Asterisk. How long until the fuel pressure reading updates in your cockpit? She asked. Asterisk. The marshal blinked. What? Emily's voice rose, urgency cutting through the cabin noise. Because if I'm right, your left engine will starve before the alarm ever sounds. Asterisk the second marshal frowned. Captain hasn't reported anything. Asterisk, of course he hasn't, Emily said. The system lags under high-altitude cold expansion. It's rare. That's why it keeps killing people. The marshal hesitated. That hesitation, that tiny crack, was all Emily needed. Asterisk, please, she said, her voice breaking now. Just let me speak to the cockpit for 30 seconds. If I'm wrong, arrest me when we land. Asterisk, the attendants exchanged looks. Passengers leaned forward, caught between fear and curiosity. The plane shuddered again. Harder. Asterisk this time, luggage shifted. A woman screamed. A child cried. The intercom crackled. Cabin crew, the captain said, tension creeping into his voice. Report turbulence severity. Emily's heart slammed. It's starting. Asterisk, she looked at the marshal. That vibration you're feeling? That's not turbulence. The marshal swallowed. Finally, he raised his radio. Captain, we have a former safety engineer requesting urgent cockpit communication. There was a pause. Too long. Then, bring her, the captain said. Asterisk, the words hit. Emily like electricity. Asterisk, the marshals grabbed her arms not roughly, but firmly, and rushed her forward. Asterisk, as they moved, passengers stared at her like she was either insane or the only one awake. Asterisk, Emily's feet barely touched the floor. As they reached the cockpit door, the red light glowed. Locked. The marshal knocked hard. Inside. Alarms began to chirp, soft, distant, almost polite. Emily felt tears burn her eyes. She leaned toward the door and shouted, Asterisk, your left engine fuel pressure is lying to you. The alarms grew louder. The door unlocked, and the truth rushed in with her. The cockpit door swung open, and sound poured out. Beeps, alarms, overlapping voices. Red and amber lights blinked across the control panel like warning flares in the dark. Asterisk, Emily stepped inside. Asterisk, the captain turned sharply. Who is she? Asterisk, Emily. Carter, she said quickly. Former aircraft safety engineer. Sir, your left engine is about to fail. Asterisk, the first officer shot the captain a look. We're not showing critical loss. Asterisk, not yet, Emily replied. Your sensor is delayed. You're reading the past, not the present. Asterisk, the captain's jaw tightened. He hated surprises. He hated rule breakers. But he hated unexplained alarms even more. Asterisk, another chime sounded louder. This time. Asterisk, the left engine's vibration indicator spiked for half a second, then dropped back to normal. Asterisk, there, Emily said. That's the lie. The plane jolted violently. In the cabin, screams erupted. Asterisk, Captain, the first officer said, his voice strained. We just got a fluctuation warning. Asterisk, Emily's hands shook, but her mind was sharp. You're flying into a thermal gradient, cold fuel, expanding lines. Pressure collapse happens fast. Asterisk, how fast? The captain asked. Asterisk, 90 seconds, Emily said. Maybe less. Silence. The captain made his decision. Asterisk, shut the door, he ordered. Seat her. No one argued. The door slammed shut. The cockpit felt smaller now, tighter-like. A countdown clock had started. Asterisk, the captain flipped switches. Run engine diagnostics. Asterisk, the first officer's fingers flew. Data still looks normal. Asterisk, Emily leaned forward. Check raw flow, not processed output. The first officer hesitated, then complied. His eyes widened. Asterisk, Captain, flow rate is dropping. Another alarm scream, no longer polite. The plane lurched left. Emily grabbed the back of the seat to stay upright. Left engine flame out imminent. The system announced. Asterisk, the captain swore. Shut it down. The first officer cut fuel. The engine died with a deep, terrifying silence. Asterisk for half a second. The aircraft felt weightless. Then the right engine roared harder, compensating. Captain fought the controls. Stabilizing. Emily's heart pounded so hard she could hear it over the alarms. What caused it? The first officer asked. Asterisk, microfracture in the fuel line, Emily said. Undetectable in standard checks. It leaks under pressure, then freezes. Asterisk, the captain exhaled sharply. We're lucky you noticed. Asterisk, Emily shook her head. Lucky would have been fixing it on the ground. The plane steadied, but only barely. Captain, the first officer said, we can't continue transatlantic on one engine. Asterisk, I know, the captain replied. Nearest airport? Asterisk, the first officer scanned quickly. We're over the North Atlantic. Closest viable is Reykjavik. Asterisk, the captain nodded. Declare emergency. Asterisk, the radio crackled. Mayday, mayday. Mayday. Asterisk, in the cabin, oxygen masks dropped. Asterisk, passengers screamed, prayed, held hands. Emily closed her eyes. Please hold. Asterisk, the aircraft descended. Every shudder felt like a warning from gravity itself. The captain turned to Emily briefly. How did you see it? Asterisk, she swallowed. I worked 3 crashes like this. Same pattern, same delay, same silence before impact. Asterisk, he stared at her, then looked back at the controls. You just changed the ending. Asterisk, minutes dragged like hours. Asterisk, finally, the first officer spoke, voice shaking with relief. Runway in sight. Asterisk, the captain lined up the approach. The single engine groaned, pushed to its limit. Asterisk, landing speed high. The first officer warned. Asterisk, I've got it, the captain said. The wheels slammed into the runway. The cabin erupted in screams, then applause. Sobs, disbelief. Asterisk, the plane skidded, slowed, and stopped. Silence, then cheering. Asterisk, Emily slumped into the seat, tears streaming freely. Now 250 people were alive. The captain removed his headset and turned to her. Asterisk, you broke every rule. He said quietly. Emily nodded. He extended his hand. Asterisk, and you saved every soul on this plane. The applause in the cabin didn't reach the cockpit. Asterisk, when the engines finally powered down, the silence felt unnatural, like the world itself was holding its breath. Outside the windshield, emergency lights washed the runway in red and blue. Fire trucks stood ready. Medical teams waited. Cameras flashed in the distance. Asterisk, Emily Carter remained seated. Her hands were still shaking. The captain unfastened his harness and stood slowly, as if the weight of what had almost happened was only now settling into his bones. He looked back at Emily, his face unreadable. Asterisk, you understand, he said, calm but heavy, that once we open that door, this becomes official. Asterisk, Emily nodded. I know. The cockpit door opened. Noise rushed in, crying, shouting, laughter, prayers of thanks. Passengers stood in the aisle, some hugging strangers, others collapsing into their seats in shock. A woman dropped to her knees. A man pressed his forehead against the wall and whispered, "Thank you," over and over. No one noticed Emily at first. Then a uniformed officer stepped forward. Asterisk, "Ma'am," he said, "please come with us." The words landed harder than any turbulence. Emily rose without resistance. Asterisk, as she walked through the cabin, people stared. Some clapped. Some looked confused. A few looked afraid, unsure whether she was a hero or the reason they'd almost died. She didn't meet their eyes. In a quiet room beneath the terminal, the celebration ended. Asterisk, they took her phone, her bag, her ID. Asterisk, hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time blurred. Asterisk, two men in dark suits entered. No badges. No smiles. Asterisk, Emily Carter, one of them said, sitting across from her. You violated federal aviation law, interfered with flight crew, caused panic. Asterisk Emily folded her hands to stop them from shaking. I saved the plane. Asterisk the second man leaned forward. That's not the question. He slid a tablet across the table. On the screen was a maintenance report time-stamped. 2 days before the flight, her breath caught. The report showed the exact fuel line microfracture she had described. Asterisk marked. Non-critical. Monitor next. Service. You knew, the first man said quietly. Emily stared at the screen. I didn't know it was this plane. But you suspected, he replied. Silence. Asterisk. You boarded anyway. Asterisk Emily swallowed. Because if I was wrong, nothing would happen. And if I was right, people would live. Asterisk the second man stood. Or you would have caused 250 deaths. The door opened again. The captain stepped in. Both men stiffened slightly. She saved my aircraft, the captain said flatly. And everyone on it. Asterisk the first man sighed. Captain, with respect this, doesn't disappear? Asterisk Emily looked up. Then don't make it disappear. They all turned to her. She continued, voice steady now. Fix the system. Rewrite the rule, because this will happen again. A long pause. The men exchanged a glance. Asterisk finally, the tablet was turned off. Asterisk. You will not be charged, the first man said. But you will not be credited either. Asterisk Emily nodded. I didn't do it for credit. They stood to leave. At the door, the second man stopped. Asterisk Ms. Carter, he said without turning around. If you ever see something like this again, report it. Don't act. Emily didn't answer, because she knew the truth. Asterisk sometimes. Reporting isn't fast enough. The room emptied. Minutes later, a guard opened the door. Asterisk, you're free to go. Outside, dawn was breaking. Emily stepped into the cold air. The sky painted soft orange and gray beautiful, unaware of how close it had come to tragedy. Asterisk, she pulled her jacket tighter and started walking. Her phone buzzed. One new message. Unknown. Number. Asterisk another aircraft. Same sensor. Different airline. Emily stopped. The airport roared around her engines, voices, announcements. She stared at the screen. Then, slowly, she looked up at the sky and smiled, because the rules hadn't changed, but she had